All right. Hey, everyone. Ashley over at Teachable and Make Change. Very excited today sitting down with Nicole Walters. And if you haven't heard of her, you're going to. Nicole, do you want to say hi and tell everyone what you do?
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole. I'm an income strategist and I specialize in income makeovers. So it's not about these crazy big six-figure launches. It's more about how to turn several small wins into big financial independence.
Absolutely. So Nicole is awesome. I ran into her content first on Periscope, and then I started reading it and was just so impressed because what she's saying is real. And also she has this amazing background that's really impressive. She's worked with huge clients and big names. Nicole, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So before I got into the whole world of bringing my corporate skills directly to people, I worked in corporate America, like everyone else, but I did it for, oh my gosh, probably 10, 12 years. And I was working with multi-billion-dollar companies, the top health insurance firm, one of the top two retirement firms, in the United States. And I worked there as first I was a business consultant, then I was a sales executive. So, I really only dealt with your major corporations, business to business, facilitating sales and generating profit for the companies. It was pretty cool stuff. I got to travel a lot, which was fun. And I got to meet a lot of, I was only talking to CEOs, but then after a while I was like, you know what? I kind of want to be one.
Yeah. Yeah. And you are now. And that's a really cool thing. I feel like sometimes people start coaching really young in their career and you've kind of done it professionally. You've mastered that. And then you left and you've kind of started your own business.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that transition. Like when were you like, all right, I'm done. Time to quit the 9-to-5. I'm doing this.
Okay, so I don't know if you know this story, Ashley, which is kind of fun because we just met. So here's what happened. I think that I always had the entrepreneurial bug, right? I always was like, this isn't for me. I have authority issues. I need to I really need to do my own thing. But I also knew the importance of corporate America teaches you a lot of foundations. And right. I learned a lot about, things from running a decent Excel report and understanding profit margins to negotiation and business meetings and professionalism. So, those are all skills I'm able to teach now and bring into my own business. But no matter what, I knew that day was coming where I was like, I got to quit this 9-to-5 thing. I can't. So yeah. I don't know if you know this, but I quit my job live on Periscope.
I did not know that.
Yeah, in front of 10,000 people. I legit called my boss, and the thing is, I didn't do it in the crazy jumping off the airplane type of way. It was totally classy, but I basically had been telling people for a full week on Periscope, guys, I think this is the week. I think I need to do it. I've been building my business. It wasn't like I jumped behind, right? But I was like, I think this is the week I'm going to call my boss and just kind of end it, right? Yeah. I know.
I'm going to go find this later.
I know. I actually have the video. It's in my academy, 1K one day, but I can talk more about that later. But I have the video of my quit day. It's the craziest thing. So that Friday, I called my boss, and my boss was remote. He was in Chicago. Otherwise, I do it in person. So I called him, and I was like, hey, I got something to talk about. And he wants to talk about next week's meetings, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. So we're not going to talk about next week's meeting because I quit. I'm done. Yeah. I can't do this anymore. And it was scary because I'd been talking about it on Periscope, and everyone was like, you really should, can we see? Is that okay? And my husband's an attorney, and he was like, yeah, you can do it. Just make sure you don't record his side of the conversation because it's a two-party state. Because my husband's no fun.
Yeah, it's nice that you have that kind of legal advice there, though.
It really helps. It really helps. So I got him on the phone, and it went really well. And I just kind of let live streaming do its live thing, and I left it on, but I just had the conversation, and I was super nervous, and everybody online with me was super anxious. Some people were shouting don't do it. You're going to hate yourself forever. Don't do it. Other people were go for it, girl. It was really a mixed bag. I had family members at the same time texting me, tweeting me, stop what you're doing. My mentor was even are you sure you want to do this way? It was really scary at the time because once you're in, right? And it was live. So it started out with him saying, yeah, I'm sad to see you go. But then when he was like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, you know what? I've learned so much, And I want to start teaching regular people. I've already started, and people are growing and they're making money and their businesses are thriving. And I want to do more of this, and it feels good. And he was like, if you're making money and it feels good, why are you still here? And then I bust into tears. I was just like, oh, you know?
Yeah. Wow. That is really amazing. I've never heard of anyone doing that before, and such a risk too. Like, you go, all those people live.
10,000. I was freaking out. I mean, I think my biggest fear was that my boss would be like, oh, okay, yeah, well, turn in your laptop, bye. But he was so nice and encouraging. And I just talked to him the other day. I'm actually doing a surprise trip for my team because we've had such a successful year. And I contacted him because I'm actually hiring my old company's services for my new team. And it was definitely one of those moments like,
yeah, like, I've made it. This is good.
Yeah, I've made it, right? He was like, I'm so excited. He was like, less than like 10 months. It's not even a year. And he was like, and you're coming back and hiring us? Like, that's so cool. And I was like, yeah, I know. So super exciting.
Yeah. And I think that's awesome for everyone out there who's listening right now to hear, right? Because that is a scary conversation when you start to tell everyone like, hey, I'm leaving this awesome job that's super stable and super safe to take this risk. You know, and our friends want what's best for us, but a lot of times that's the least risky thing, right? It's
absolutely. And entrepreneurship is like unfamiliar. A lot of people, you don't know it unless you've been in it, right? So friends are like, what are you doing? But in reality, like, you got to go with your gut. And part of why I shared it was just to be authentic. I was giving all this business advice, helping people be entrepreneurs, but I wasn't a full-time entrepreneur myself. So I was like, I'm just not honest, and I need to share this part of the journey too.
Wow. No, that's the real deal. That's it. Very cool. So what came next? You quit this job. You had kind of started building your business. What did those business steps look like post job quit?
Sure. So prior to quitting my job, I did all the official things. So my husband had me set up as an LLC. I'd already started the trademarking process for some of my products that I developed, my courses, my content. I'd built up my following on websites like Facebook and Twitter, and I was periscoping regularly and just using live streaming as a lead generation tool. So a lot of people minimize, live streaming. They're like, oh, it's new, it's hip, Snapchat, whatever. But in reality, it was a great way for me to showcase my platform, showcase some of my skills, and then, kind of work in a freemium capacity. And I directed people to my platform. So my email list was growing like crazy.
Yeah. So you were collecting emails from all of that.
I was collecting emails, right? Because one of the big things I always teach is always take the relationship offline. You never want to start interacting with people without building a place for them to go. So that's what I'd already done. So I was like, you know what? I have a place for people to go, and it's really about like time and capacity. I if I have more time, I can actually take on more people that are willing to work with me. So that was the next step. Once I quit my job, the next day I literally flew to Tennessee on like a speaking engagement. And the next week I was, on NBC, Raleigh, I just had things to do. And that was the next step. And then the next thing I launched was my course, 1K one day, which is like wildly popular.
Yeah, totally. Okay. I'm interested in that. Will you tell me how that went? Like, how did that happen? Where did you have the content from? How did you launch? What were your results?
Sure. So I am a big believer in only teaching what I know and what is tried and true. I'm not really one of those rinse and repeats or recycle type people. So when I was in corporate America, one of the things that I did was I said, it's really important to me to take my, the skills I'm using now. So skills that I use to negotiate, skills that I use to create different income streams for companies, and figure out like systems and tools that are available online, web-based, and inexpensive. So that's what I did for myself first. And I was like, cool, I have 3 solid income streams that are generating income for me to the tune of about $1,000 a day, right? So yeah, some days were like 300, some days were 1,000, but all this money was being made semi-passively, and it was being made on the side of my 9 to 5. So I was like, okay, I got a thing here. Like, I got a system. So how do I package this and sell it and make it work? And thanks to sites like Teachable, that was what I was able to do. I was actually able to take my knowledge, package it on a platform just like Teachable, to really make it something that people were able to access and learn. And that was honestly the hardest part. If it wasn't for, educational platforms and having the ease of being able to upload and create content, Teachable is a great example of, how simple it is to take your knowledge and turn it into something that's accessible by the masses. And the customer service at Teachable has been phenomenal with that sort of thing. So what I loved about it was that, you're able to turn your knowledge into something accessible, put a price tag on it, and people will pay for it, and that's basically what happened. I did a launch. My first launch, I made 5 figures overnight, super easy, and I sold out in 4 minutes.
Wow. That's
crazy.
Awesome. That's
it was crazy. Cool. I was freaking out. I launched from my vanity table in my bathroom.
Dude.
It was crazy.
Did you expect that? Did you know that was going to happen? Or
no. So I actually had not a launch manager officially, but she's now part of my team. Mm-hmm. But I am so not tech savvy. That's why literally I almost feel my becoming an entrepreneur at this time and it being the rise of platforms like Teachable, it's just a beautiful juxtaposition of awesome, because I'm not tech savvy. So if it wasn't for platforms that make it easy, for me to get my knowledge out there for others to access it, it just wouldn't work. So I have a launch manager who literally was on the phone with me while I was live periscoping saying, hey, we've opened cart if you want to enroll in this course, and I was doing a Blab interview, which is another live streaming platform. Yeah. And literally we opened cart and everything crashes. It was unbelievable at first. And it wasn't and it crashed because we weren't ready for the volume. And then we were holy cow, we enrolled everyone on a payment processor before we gave them access to the course, because we didn't know about integrated systems like Teachable where they collect the money and it's already done. And if I know about that, at the time, we didn't use Teachable at that time. That was the number one mistake I made. Yeah, no, we did not use Teachable at the time. We got everyone onto we did the payment processing through a webinar platform, and that was what crashed. So they crashed because they literally did not know the volume was too much. It was hundreds of people in 4 minutes. They were just at one time trying to process a credit card. So and I'm at my vanity table watching my bank account go crazy. It was just insane. Second launch, we went to a platform like Teachable, and that solved all the problems because you guys know what you're doing.
Cool. Holy crap, though. You're doing 2 live interviews while you're hitting publish, you're going for it. That's really interesting. I don't see a lot of people kind of live broadcasting as they're launching. Everyone's holed up over their laptop, freaking out and sweaty.
Right. It's insane. Oh, it's totally crazy. Yeah. I don't know if I recommend that people do it, but it's part of what I do is I share my journey online. I'm guys, we're in the moment. Let's do this.
Yeah. And that's how I found you, was on social. Can you talk about how you use those new social programs to help actually grow your business, via email list and not just number of followers?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm really big on profitability over popularity, right? So it's great. I have so many friends and so many clients that are huge bloggers with 6-figure followings on Instagram, and they just don't make a penny. If they're not getting a sponsored post or a brand relationship, they're not making any money. And the sad thing is they're really knowledgeable. They didn't get that followership by accident, So what I do on live streaming is my turbo opt-in method, where basically I get on there and I tell people, look, instead of doing the whole building you into a 6-week funnel and then directing you to, a freemium and then teaching you in a webinar and then giving you the sale. Instead, I'm let me get on live streaming, show you my dopeness and my awesomeness right up front, let you know that, hey, I've got you. Here are some systems you can use right now. Plus, I'm in the journey with you. Look at what I'm doing. This is what it looks like every single day. And I even get on there and I'll cry if I'm I'm failing life. I'm failing everything. I'll get on there and
have those moments.
Yeah, we all have those moments, and it's authentic. And being able to do that has allowed me to skip a lot of the email list relationship building that we've typically had to do in the past. And people are I know you, I get you, I see what your life is like. You're an entrepreneur mom, your 3-year-old just ran across the background naked, this is real life, and because of that, people are willing to invest in you and they're willing to trust you to help them build their business. And that's how I've been using live streaming, and it's working like a charm.
perfect. That is so awesome.
It's so fun.
So was live streaming something you did from the beginning, or was it something you did as growth? Like,
oh, it's something I did from the beginning. Yeah, it was actually, so another truth moment. I'm so bad at tech that like Periscope came into my life again at the right time, because I was like, I want to host a webinar. People were asking me about some things I was doing in my blog, and they were like, yeah, so can you do a webinar to show us how to do this? And I was like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do a webinar. So I was like, cool, just hop on Periscope and I'll show you there. And then once I did that, people were like, I love the way that you teach. I love it. Like, do you have a course I could take? Do you have, anything that I can do? And I was like, no. And then I started building it. So.
Gotcha. And your business is obviously, it's taking off, it's growing. Would you mind giving us a very quick overview of like those major steps from idea to where you're at now?
Okay, sure. Yeah. So, I mean, one of the first things I always recommend is that people outline their course idea and their product. So, you know, if you're looking at a platform like Teachable, for instance, and you're saying you want to build something out with modules and lessons and attachments and downloads, all that good stuff and video, the first thing I recommend is write out an outline. Just put it down on paper or use a whiteboard so that you know what it looks like. And the reason why is then bring somebody else in, have them look at that same board and say, does this make sense? If we've started here, by the time you get to here, do you understand the thing I'm trying to teach you? Because when you're so in it, you may not realize that it comes easily to you. You may not realize that it's tough for other people to understand. So, and you'll save so much money in filming your video content, your time. And you'll also realize that some things that you want to sell as video really should be written as transcript, because people need that visual aspect, of you just not talking. So that would be the first step of any sort of idea thing. Then find the right platform that works for you, that fits your price point. I know Teachable, I think they have several different options and different price ranges, which is awesome, because if you're a new entrepreneur, you shouldn't spend a bucket of money for the fanciest thing first, because frankly, you have no idea how your launch is going to go. You need something that'll let you grow. So start with their lowest package, get your stuff out there, and launch it, put it out to the world, send it to your friends and family, blast it to your email list, talk about it on live streaming, and then engage with people. I think that's the step that people always forget. There's idea, there's your launch, but at the end of it, stay in your course. Go in there. If you're using Teachable, comment on people's stuff, write on, make sure you're interacting with them so that way they're able to say, gosh, I felt like my teacher was really present, and then that's what's going to help you, not just for that launch or relaunches, but for future launches.
Yes. Okay. That is awesome. And I mean, preach. Exactly. That's what we say. We say those same exact things. So it's awesome to hear you finding that works. And
real life.
Yeah. So taking a little bit of a step back, you started this business, you've quit your job. What's the best part of running your business? What's it like from where you're at?
So, I'm not going to lie to you. I have my days where I'm like, it'd be so nice to take a PTO day. Like, I would like to get paid to sit on my butt. It'd be really nice, but that does not exist in entrepreneurship. If you're not working, you're not getting paid. So I mean, I do have my days, but I think the best thing is location independence. So as long as I have my phone, I can work. And if I want to work outside on my patio, I can do that. If one of my kids needs me, I'm a foster mom to 3 girls. So if one of my girls needs me, I can be there, and guilt-free and be all the way present, both mentally and physically, not worrying about, a deadline or a spreadsheet. I mean, they exist, but it's my business, so that I think is probably the most joyful part of entrepreneurship that just can't be beat. I'll never give it up.
Exactly. And I think everyone's sitting out there is feeling that right now. They want that same freedom for whatever reason it is, whatever's motivating them.
Yep.
Perfect. Very cool. So as you're growing, what's next?
Actually, I don't know. I mean, I'm launching my course. I'm interacting with everyone, but it's been great. Right now where I'm focused in my business is just on the give back. I want to learn more about my community. I want to interact with them more. So I'm pouring myself in there. I'm answering emails for hours a day. I run all my own social media so I can talk to people. I mean, I'm just really big about getting away from the automation of relationships, and I just want to be present in my business. And so right now I'm enjoying that. I'm just enjoying talking to people, getting to know their names, their pain points, their children, their hobbies. And that's a blast. And I know been so rewarding that I know it's going to birth, you know, the next great thing. So that's where my mind is right now.
Yeah, no, and that's an amazing place to be. And I think everyone appreciates that, especially in a place where everything is automated and it's like, how can you like grow hack this or automate that? It definitely stands out.
It's nice. It's fun too. I mean, like, I'm a dork. I like meeting people. So I'm like, like, I know we're doing an interview and I'm like, I want to ask Ashley questions. Like, did she do ombre highlights or was she all blonde and then let it grow out? Like, I'm like so like distracted. Like, I want to ask questions.
I mean, I'm the same way. And what's really cool, right? It's like when you run your business, you can tailor your business for what works for you, right? Like we're on social. Social works for you. You have this amazing personality. People come to you. We always tell like people who are like writers, you know, like focus on that, focus on this. Yeah. So how do you think like that's played into your business? Like how do you play to your strengths?
Yeah. So one of the things I like to do is definitely that do what makes you happy, right? So with entrepreneurship, I don't want to lie. It's not a situation where if your favorite thing to do is eat pizza every day, you're going to wake up and eat pizza and get paid for it. No, there's work, right? But as I've been building my business, one of the things that I'm getting to do as I delegate to my team, you know, the things I don't want to do, is that I get to focus on doing the things I enjoy the most. Like I love interviews because I just like meeting people and I like talking and I'm by myself all day. And, you know, and I love, you know, being able to get on Periscope every day and just chat. And, you know, some of my scopes are business related. Some of them are me making dinner with my kids. You know, what's cool is that all relates to my business because I'm sharing that authentic journey. And, and I think that is probably what I like the most about interacting in this space of entrepreneurship. And it's cool. And I get to meet people like you and I get to talk to like CEOs of Teachable just because like, yes, best life ever.
Totally. I mean, I love my job too because it's exactly this. Okay, so I have a question though. So as we've been talking, you keep talking about a team. You've got people helping you. As someone who's like just starting out, like has just quit their job, a lot of times you don't have the budget for that. So at what point did you start bringing in other people to help you and who were your first hires?
Sure. No, that's a great question. And I don't get it enough. And it's like a totally legit question. So the very first person I brought on was my head of operations. And to be completely fair, I came from a 6-figure job, so I had the income and revenue to do that, you know, and it was necessary because there was no way. I have the ideas, I have the concepts, I have the content, you know, but I needed someone to help me with the tech, you know, to bring the two things together. So what I recommend whenever I'm teaching my courses is save yourself the overhead. Use platforms like Teachable. Use platforms like PayPal. You know, like don't absorb like an extensive amount of cost, you know, trying to buy the fanciest, you know, neatest thing. There are like platforms that provide all the services that you don't have to pay for. Save your money where you can, you know, but you don't have to skimp on quality for your audience because when the time comes that you need to hire someone, that first person is probably going to be a virtual assistant or someone who's going to handle, I will never coach automating the relationship aspect, you know, your social media, things of that sort, you know, answering your tweets, liking your post. And I'm not here for that. But what I do recommend automating is things like sorting out your inbox so that way you're reading the things that matter first, you know, or somebody doing research assignments for you, you know, spending time getting content or someone running your surveys. You know, a virtual assistant can do all of those things. And my entire team is based in the US. I pay them a fair salary. You know, I'm really proud of that, you know, and we get together once a year on a trip, you know, so that way we can interact and see each other and work together. So, I mean, we share in the profits as our business grows, and that's just how we've structured things. And it's working. I see the rewards 10 times over.
Perfect. Very cool. And yeah, a lot of people say that, like VAs first and foremost, and you can. It's like you can find someone who's totally going to make up like what you're paying them in revenue.
Totally.
Yeah, and like especially with courses too, I always get it when it comes to video. People are like, oh man, I need a new camera. Like what backdrop do I use? And it's like, you know, first like pre-sell your course, like do it rough and dirty, make the income, and then you can start investing in it.
You're so right, Ashley. I filmed my entire my first edition of 1K One Day. I filmed it on my iPhone 6, standing in my bathtub with a bed sheet behind me for a white background.
Yep. I mean, I wish I was more surprised, but like it works. So many people do that. Like
it really does.
John and Elia, they launched a course. They made $2 million. They filmed it with, it was an iPhone 5 at the time, and it was hanging from the ceiling with a fishing wire.
Wow. And it's funny because honestly, what it comes down to is if your content is strong and you have the passion to deliver it, I mean, you will find success that way. You know, it isn't about having a movie star set. You know, I remember standing in my tub and actually hovering to try to make sure I was like level with the tripod of my iPod 6. So I filmed like the whole thing like this, kind of like turned on a corner. And my bathroom had great acoustics because I didn't have a speaker. So like that was the advantage, you know? It's crazy when I look back on it, but doesn't everybody need a story for Forbes?
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking to Forbes, it seemed like it worked out. So I love that. I love that. Cool. So, all right. Do you have any other like strange little tips for course creators having done it?
I do. So one of my best tips that people don't know, and I think that it might give people some freedom, is look, nobody is unnatural at their wording and their content. So I think a lot of people will look at me and they'll look at my course and they're like, wow, you're here and you're like this. And you're like, so then you want to do blah, blah, blah. That's because I'm using a teleprompter. So like, that's part of the advantage of writing out your content in advance. And what I did was like for a brand newbie, I made a bootleg teleprompter. I made a Microsoft PowerPoint presentation and I just hit the space bar as I was recording. And that just like went across the screen and I read that as I was filming my course. So if anyone's out there saying, I don't know how I'm going to remember and I feel like I have to do a bunch of editing and I keep flubbing my lines and I'm messing up my content, use Microsoft PowerPoint, upload all your script and your content, and then hit that space bar and keep recording.
That's perfect. And I've done it that way too. So it works. It works. It's very simple. So, okay, at this point in your business, obviously successful, you obviously know what you're doing. I always like to ask, like, what are you struggling with right now in your business, having done this launch, having built a business, and going on to those next steps?
Sure. So real life, and this is what I share on Scope every day. I struggled. I just went through a whole like burnout situation. So maybe about 2 weeks ago, I had to take off 3 days for my business where I literally got a hotel room, like left my family, and I just like slept and like got my whole life back together. And the reason why was I'd been working nonstop for months and months, flying cross country for interviews, maybe like 3 or 4 times in a single month. I mean, it was just insane. Like, I was just so when you're in it and you're in entrepreneurship, it feels so good and it feels so delayed if you've been working in the corporate world or doing like things that don't align with your purpose, that you find yourself with this weird energy and enthusiasm to stay until 3, you know, and like to just do crazy things. And what's hard is you have to balance self-care. You have to take off those 3 days. So now I just put them on the calendar. Like, I don't know how I'm going to feel at the end of my launch. I'll probably be on a high and I'll feel really good and want to keep working, but I put 3 days in anyways because I have to take a break. Otherwise I'm going to break down. And what'll happen is you'll make mistakes in your business. You'll flub like little emails. You won't be as productive. And ultimately you'll hurt your purpose by not taking a break from your purpose. So in doing that, I came back recharged and it was perfect. I'm like so ready to go.
Yeah. I honestly love that advice. I think I've read so many blog posts where people talk about the burnout and how that's very real, right? Like we get addicted to this hustle. Like anyone who's starting their own business, we're overachievers, we carrot, we're baby, and it's so easy to do that.
Yep. I didn't think it could happen to me. I was like, oh, I'm not going to burn out. Oh, I'm not burned out. Even when I was in my burnout, I was like, this isn't burnout. I probably have a little more. This is that moment where people say you have to push just a little harder, right? No, that was burnout. I was in it. That's what that was. I needed a break.
Yeah. Oh, man. And so smart to like know yourself and know what you need and just do it.
Yeah, I was trying.
Yeah. Okay. So one last question before I let you go. What is your last minute advice to anyone out there right now who's like, I'm ready to quit my business. Like I'm ready to screw the 9 to 5. I'm ready to go.
Right. So anyone who's willing to do that, the first thing I say is make sure you've built a place to go. So often we think of it as I'm quitting and leaving something and I'm branching out on my own. And our mind hasn't connected with the fact that no, you're quitting your old job, but you're hiring yourself. So are you a place that you want to work? You know, do you have the tools to be able to do that? Have you built a place to show up every single day? One of the first things I recommend is sketching out what your day would look like before you quit. You know, so it's 9 to 5. What am I going to do? I remember after quitting the next day, I had an event the next day, but the first Monday that I was home after quitting my job, I was standing in my kitchen holding coffee like, what am I supposed to do right now? Like,
Yeah.
I got things to do, but I don't know where to start. And I just kind of felt a little bit in a haze. And I think that it's important to understand that, you know, you want to be your best boss ever. So be prepared before you quit your job. And what's great is you have opportunities using, you know, just the internet, online business, Facebook, live streaming. I teach things in my course, 1K One Day Academy.